Ever wish you had a digital assistant that didn't just find answers, but actually got things done for you? Well, today we're going to dissect a brand new kind of digital creature that does exactly that. So let's dive right into the anatomy of an AI agent.
Here's the plan. We're going to start with what an agent even is. Then we'll look at its brain, its tools, kind of like its hands and feet, then its nervous system, and finally, how you can actually build one yourself. It's going to be like a full dissection, from the basic idea all the way to creation.
All right, let's tackle the big question first. What exactly is an AI agent? And the main thing you've got to get is that this is a huge step up from the chatbots we're all used to. It's not just about talking anymore, it's about doing.
Just think about it for a sec. What if the AI you talk to could do more than just chat? What if it could take what you said and just go do it? In the digital world, I mean. That's the huge shift we're talking about with AI agents. They're not just passive helpers, they're active problem solvers.
So here's the nitty-gritty. An AI agent is basically a system that takes a goal you give it, like, hey, book me a flight to Tokyo, and then it uses a language model to think, plan, and actually carry out the steps to make it happen. It connects to the real world, uses tools to search for flights, and then books the ticket all by itself.
Okay, so now we know what an agent does. Let's peel back the layers and see how it thinks. We're diving into the agent's brain to check out the core parts that power all its reasoning and decision-making.
In this picture here, it lays it all out perfectly. You give the agent a task, and it goes into what's called the orchestration layer. Now, inside that layer, there are two really important parts we're about to dig into. The language model, which is the engine for thinking, and the tools, which let it actually interact with the world.
This right here clears up a really common mix-up. The language model, something like GPT-4o, isn't the agent. It's the brain of the agent. See, the model knows a ton of stuff, but it can't actually do anything. The AI agent is the whole creature, the system that uses that brain to reason and to connect to the world to get stuff done. And just like different animals have different kinds of brains, agents can use different kinds of models. You've got your big, general-purpose LLMs for pretty much anything. Then there are smaller, more efficient SLMs for simpler jobs. And then you have the really powerful reasoning models for super complex problems, like science or coding. It's all about picking the right brain for the job.
Okay, let's get back to that orchestration layer. This is really the agent's actual thought process. It's this cycle that manages its memory and its plans, and it uses different frameworks for thinking. For instance, chain of thought gets the model to break a problem down step by step. And another one, react, is super cool. It combines that reasoning with taking an action. This is how the agent gets organized to tackle your goal.
All right, a brain is great, but a brain in a jar can't do very much, right? It needs a way to interact with the world, and that's where tools come in. You can think of these as the agent's senses, its hands, its limbs, everything it needs to see and change its digital environment.
So the first kind of tool is an extension. This is basically how an agent can reach out to other services online. It's like a bridge to an external API. So the agent can ask, hey, what's the weather in London? Or what flights are available to Tokyo? And get real live answers back.
Next up, we have functions. Now, these are custom actions that a developer can build just for their agent. And this is so powerful because it gives you a ton of control. The agent can decide to do something, like update your company database, but the actual code for how to do it runs safely inside your own app. And finally, there are data stores. The easiest way to think about this is as the agent's long-term memory, or maybe its own personal library. It's a knowledge vault where it can look up information from specific files, databases, or websites that you give it. This makes sure it has the right context for its tasks.
So we've got a brain and we've got limbs. Now we need a nervous system to connect everything. And that's what this is all about, agentic protocols. These are the rules of the road that let all the different parts of this AI ecosystem talk to each other.
This diagram shows it perfectly. On one side, you've got an agent using a protocol called MCP to talk to a tool, like Slack. But then, and this is the cool part, it can use a different protocol, A2A, to talk to another agent that's managing something else, like GitHub. It's like a whole team of specialists working together.
So let's break that down real quick. MCP is for connecting a model to a tool. So your agent in Slack uses MCP to go pull updates from Asana. Simple enough. But A to A is for collaboration between agents. That same Slack agent could then use A to A to ping a whole separate reporting agent and say, hey, can you analyze this data and make me a report? So one talks to tools, the other talks to his friends.
Okay, we have officially dissected our AI agent. Now for the really fun part, How are they actually built? Let's take a look at the different ways you can do it. We can almost think of them as different species of agents, each with its own complexity and purpose.
First up, the simplest species, one-prompt agents. This is kind of what it sounds like. You give the agent one giant, super detailed set of instructions. The whole task from start to finish is guided by this single master prompt. It's great for things like booking a specific ticket, and it's usually the easiest way to get started.
Next, we have a more specialized species, coding agents. These guys are built for one thing, software development. They get the logic of programming so they can write new code for you, hunt down bugs, and automate all those repetitive coding tasks. They can be pretty simple, or they can be incredibly complex.
Then you have workflow-based agents, which are amazing for automating business stuff. The key here is that you don't need to be a coding genius. These tools have visual interfaces where you just drag and drop blocks that represent actions like read this email, find the customer, send a reply. It's a really intuitive way to build out complex processes.
And finally, we get to the most advanced species, the ones built with agentic frameworks. This is for the serious developers out there. These are software toolkits, basically libraries of code, for when you need to create something totally custom and have complete control over every single part of the agent's anatomy.
And that brings our tour to an end. We've seen how these agents think, how they act, and how they communicate. The wild part is, this isn't science fiction anymore. This stuff is being built right now. Which really just leaves one question. When your personal AI agent finally shows up, what's the very first task you're going to give it?